Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Let's go over the early 3-game NBA slate for today on Draftkings. Obviously, the Super Bowl is later in the day, so they don't have to compete too much with the ratings. So they gave us a pretty solid 3-game NBA slate. We got 2 games at 2 o'clock and then 1 at 3 o'clock, and they're actually pretty solid games for the most part. So I'm looking forward to it. But before we continue, as always, if you guys can just leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. You can also follow me on Twitter at Pennell16. And if you're interested in the spreadsheets that I built every single night for the NBA season, I previewed it in yesterday's video, and I'm going to preview it to you guys right now. This is just the early portion of my spreadsheet. Links in the description below for my Patreon. You get access to my projections, my entire data sheet, my Discord chat where you can bug me as much as you want in there, my cheat sheet, my core plays, my DVP chart, all that stuff that I just mentioned. I updated all the way up until lock. Like I said, links in the description below for my Patreon. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. If it sounds like I'm talking weird, my tongue, it's got like a major cut on it right where it like rests on my teeth, and it hurts every word I talk. So I'm pushing through it for you guys, but just know it's a little bit painful for me. So if I sound a little bit different, it's just because my tongue is it's getting shredded to pieces right now as I talk. But either way, let's start up top with James Harden. He comes in at 11,200. And you're going to see a common theme here. This is an elite game environment. So Houston versus New Orleans. We've got two fast-paced teams, two of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. And we have a 246 total. That's got to be the highest I've seen all season. And, it makes sense. This is just if you see Houston on the schedule, you're pretty happy for fantasy purposes. If you see New Orleans, you're pretty happy. Mix these two together. Lots of good players here. It's going to be very high scoring. 246 total is the highest I've seen all season. I don't know, maybe I've missed a game, but it's got to be up there for sure. And they have 126 implied team total. Now, I know James Harden has been in a funk, but he broke out of it in the last game where he scored 75 fantasy points. It looked to be his old self. And that's just kind of what you expect from James Harden. I'm not saying he's going to absolutely replicate that, but on the season, he's averaging over 37 minutes per game. He's going to play all the minutes he can handle. 1.61 points per minute, 37% usage rate. Nothing really not to like about James Harden. And like I said, this is going to be a fast-paced game. I know it's like yellow for the pace of play, but that's just because Milwaukee's on the slate and they're number 1. And just because there's only a couple of teams I have listed on here, it's not going to make ranking third in pace that look that good. But trust me, if you had everybody loaded up on here, 3 would be pretty bright green. So yes, third in pace of play is pretty good, and then New Orleans is second. So it's actually a bit of a pace of a spot here for the Rockets. But this game's going to be a track meet. Like I said, not a lot of whole defense going on. We have a 5.5 point spread, so I don't really have to worry about a blowout potential too much. And if you look on the season, not Houston, New Orleans is one of the worst teams in the league versus guards. They're ranked 30th versus point guards, 15th versus shooting guards. As long as James Harden's hitting his shots, he should be able to do whatever the heck he wants here. Now, the problem is he's had some nights where he just does not hit three-pointers. Like, I know the one night he went 1 for 17. It's more of an outlier, but I think he's a safe bet. As long as he's just having an okay game, I think he gets anywhere from 60 to 80 points, to be honest. He's got that upside. Honestly, he's got near 90-point upside as long as he's really hitting. Now, Russell Westbrook does cap his upside a bit because of how great he's been playing recently, but James Harden definitely the best spin up on the slate, in my opinion. Then you also have Russell Westbrook here at 10,200. And again, he has been on an absolute fire. He's been much more consistent than James Harden in the past couple weeks. He's just been getting 50-plus points every single night, almost 60 points every single night. The guy has been playing out of his mind. We got him projected for about 38 minutes here. They're both going to play as many minutes as they can handle. And like I said, elite game environment, 246 total, 126-point implied team total, pretty close spread. Both teams play extremely fast. And like I said, Russell Westbrook's going to be, I didn't say this yet, but Russell Westbrook obviously plays point guard, and like I said, New Orleans ranks dead last, 30th versus point guard, so you can't ask for a better matchup at all. And on the season, Westbrook's at a 33.7% usage rate, 1.4 points per minute. He's in great form. If you want to play both of these guys, I totally get it, and there should be enough value to do so if you want to. But if you had to pick one, it's a really tough decision. I'd probably end up just leaning Harden because I always just feel safer with Harden. But, Westbrook, I think he goes a little bit lower owned, and he's certainly a fine option. He's going to play near 40 minutes. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets another 60 to 70 fantasy points just from how good he's been playing, and the matchups are great. Doing 246 total. I can't get over that. When I saw the total in that game, I was just blown away. Pascal Siakam, So he's more of a GPP play. Now, there's only 3 games on this slate, so there's not a big player pool here. So he's fine in GPPs. I can't see anybody playing him because everyone's going to want a piece of Harden. Everyone's going to want a piece of Russell Westbrook. So why would we take someone that's 9,100 in the game with a 217.5 point over-under, which is by far the lowest on this slate, and a 10.5 point spread in their favor, so there's also blowout potential. That's why he's GPP only for me. I would not touch him in cash games. He's way too expensive. But I mean, I don't really want to play him, but I wanted more people to talk about on this slate, and you can't make the case for him. So you can play him in GPPs. You got to hope either Harden or Westbrook sucks as chalk. Then you can get an edge with Siakam. You also got to hope this game stays close. But if it does, this is an elite matchup. I talk about it every single time Chicago's on the slate. You want to attack them with big men. As you can see, 2 bright green. Actually, they got a little better. They were 30th versus centers. He became 30th. Charlotte came 30th. So they kind of flip-flopped there. They were 29th and 30th. I'm surprised. They've been like bright green 30s for as long as I can remember this season. But they're still 30th versus power forwards and 29th versus centers. It used to be just straight 30s back in the back end, but that changed, I guess. But overall, they're very, very bad versus opposing big men. As you can see, they're very good versus guards. That's just because of how bad they are down low. One of the worst rebounding teams in the NBA. And, if the game's competitive, he'll play all the minutes they can handle. But I am factoring in a little bit of a blowout here, and I got him protected for about 33.5 minutes, which I think is fair. And this is going to be a slower paced game. This game is it's by far the worst game on the slate. The other games, both teams play fast, going to be high totals. This one, extremely off. If you just want to full fade this game, I totally get it, but I just wanted more people to talk about. But Siakam on the season, 1.2 points per minute, near 30% usage rate. The matchup's great. GPP only for me. I would not touch him in cash games just because of the price tag and this game environment. Drew Holiday, just staying in this game. Obviously, you want exposure to this game. And he's actually been playing pretty well the past 2 games, despite Zion getting a boost in minutes and usage and whatever. But Houston, they rank 22nd versus point guards, 26th versus shooting guards, so this is an excellent matchup. Like I said, this game is going to be an absolute track meet, and we have a 246 total, and I almost said the Wizards for some reason. The Pelicans have a 120 implied team total, which I know it shows up as yellow guys, but if you had a bunch of games on the slate, 120 is obviously going to be an elite number, although I know there's only 3 games on the slate, but 120 is a very good implied team total. On the season, he's averaging over 35 minutes per game, 1.15 points per minute, 25% usage rate. He's fine. 8K, I'm not going to force him into my lineups, but if you want exposure to this game, you can certainly go Drew Holiday. Now, I have some of the Bucks listed because Giannis is listed as questionable, and I believe he left the last game with, hamstring soreness. So I really don't see the reason why he would push to play on a Sunday afternoon game. It just doesn't really seem like a game he would want to, they'd want to just throw Giannis out there. And I think they should be able to handle their business versus Phoenix. So I'm under the assumption that Giannis misses this game. And if so, now these minutes are factored in with Giannis with Giannis playing. So if obviously he's out, we're going to boost guys like Ersan Ilyasov's minutes up, Brook Lopez, DiVincenzo, Middleton, and Eric Bledsoe, but as of right now, it's kind of pretending he's in, just because I don't know yet, but so we'd have to, we'd put Middleton close to 35 minutes, but either way, you can certainly look these Bucks way if Giannis is out. It would also help to keep the game a little bit closer, and we have a 233 total here, which is, it's not going to look great compared to a 246 total, but 233 total is absolutely fine. This was a regular big main slate. I would take a 233 total any day. Now, the problem is, they are 11.5 point favorites here, but if Giannis is out, I could see that dipping maybe close to the single digits. Now, they're going to be fine without him. We saw it versus Washington. They just got guys that step up, and Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton are very, very underrated players. They're some of the best players in the NBA on a per 36-minute basis if you look at their statistics. But this game is going to be played pretty fast. The Bucks are first in pace of play, and Phoenix is 10th. So both teams are top 10 in pace of play. On the season, he's only averaging 20 minutes per game, but if you take Giannis off the court, obviously you should see anywhere from 32, 35 minutes. And on the season, he's at 1.23 points per minute, but if you take Giannis off the court, Middleton's at 1.47. That would be second best on the entire slate, or actually third once I talk about Bledsoe, but 1.47 points per minute, 33.7% usage rate. You have to have interest versus Phoenix. They're not a very good defensive team. If we head over to the DVP chart, they rank 17th versus small forwards, 24th versus shooting guards. So, like the matchup for Chris Middleton, I think he's a very, very excellent play if Giannis happens to miss this game. Zion Williamson definitely want exposure to this game. His minutes have been creeping up. We got him for about 30 right here, and he's been very good on a point per minute basis on the season so far. It's a small sample size, but 1.29 points per minute with a 28% usage rate. Very good PER so far as well. So you'd have to have interest in Zion. I mean, this game's just such an elite game environment, and they're also going to be without Clint Capella, I believe. Did he get rolled out yet? I know he was listed as. Let me just double check just to make sure, but I think he's out, or he's doubtful. But let me check really quick. Yeah, Clint's out, but I just checked the box scores. I was watching the end of that not the Damian Lillard game, the Trailblazers game. Damian Lillard is going absolutely nuts again. The guy's been on fire the past 5 or 6 games. He's at over 50 real life points. He just got pulled with 2 minutes left, but he has been he's insane right now. All right, anyway. I gotta stop fading the guy. I keep telling myself he's overpriced. He's not gonna keep this up, and he just keeps doing it. But anyway, let's get back into this. I believe I was talking about Zion. And I was, and I think I was talking about Clint Capella because So actually, Clint Capella is one of the better defenders because Houston's actually pretty solid versus centers. If we head over to the DVP chart, Houston, they're the 5th worst defensive team in the NBA. As you can see, 22nd, 26th, 25th, 28th, then 14th versus centers. Now, that's not great, but it's actually one of their better strong suits on defense. Take away Capella, obviously you're going to soften up versus big men, and Zion's power forward, center, whatever you call them. They already ranked 28th versus power forwards, and they're going to struggle with big men as well, especially with Clint Capella off the court because they're just going to be lacking size. So Zion, I think this is a smash spot. His price is $7,700. So I actually played him at $7K in the last game. Didn't do amazing. I think he ended up scoring like 35 fantasy points, but this is just such an elite game environment. 246 total. If he gets 30 minutes, honestly, he's got 40 point upside, if not more. 120 point implied team total, and like I said, 1.29 points per minute, 28% usage rate. Gotta have interest in Zion. Brandon Ingram, so he's certainly taken a hit. I skipped DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton, he comes in at 7,500. Pretty solid matchup versus Milwaukee, especially if Giannis is out. That's going to soften up the defense quite a bit because we know Giannis is one of the better defenders in the entire NBA. And on the season, they are all the way down here. They rank 11th versus power forwards, 15th versus centers. Obviously, that'll soften up with Giannis off the court. And on the season, Ayton's been pretty good on a point per minute basis. He's at 1.18 points per minute with a 22% usage rate. We know the guy's got a 50 fantasy point ceiling. We've seen multiple good. Oh, it was the fridge. I thought I heard someone yell, and there shouldn't be anyone yelling in my house. So, anyway, DeAndre Ayton, he's fine. Solid. Like the game environment, Milwaukee is the fastest pace of play team in the NBA, so you get a nice pace up spot. And it's always nice to get a pace up spot when you're still 10th in pace of play, going against the fastest pace of play team in the NBA. 233 over-under, which is elite on most slates. Obviously, the 246 overshadows that a bunch, but still very good. Like the matchup versus Milwaukee, as long as Giannis is out, you can certainly look DeAndre Ayton's away, get on a point per minute basis. Now, Brandon Ingram, he has been one of the biggest, not benefactors, but I don't know, what do you want to call it? What's the opposite of that? One of the biggest. I'll just reword that. He's taken the biggest hit with Zion on the court because the guy's been, before Zion, he was like a 50. You wouldn't be surprised if he hit 50 fantasy points every single night with, when he was the guy running the show. Now with Zion back, we're lucky if he gets 40 fantasy points. He's been kind of stuck in this 30-point range. I think he's got a couple of 20-point games mixed in as well. Now, he was having a really good game versus Memphis. I believe he had 38 fantasy points, and he never played in the fourth quarter. So, honestly, he was looking like back to his old self. He probably could have got close to 50 fantasy points if he happened to actually play in the fourth quarter. But he's definitely taken a hit. But 7,100... yeah, it's enticing, especially for a guy like Brandon Ingram. His upside's there, and I think he'd probably get over 33 minutes if the game stays competitive, which it should. It's only a 5.5 point spread, so you can certainly look his way. Now, on the season, he's at 1.24 points per minute with a 28.7% usage rate. Obviously, when you put a guy like Zion on the court with a 1.3 point per minute rate and 28% usage rate, those numbers are going to go down, which they have, but also he used to be a lot more expensive. So 7,100, it feels like a bargain. He should grade out as an okay point per dollar option, and I just like the game environment a lot. If you ever to the DVP chart, Houston, they rank 25th versus small forwards, 28th versus power forwards, so you can't really ask for too much of a better matchup. So you can certainly look his way. I just like getting pieces of this game. 246 total. That's hard to pass up. So Brandon Ingram, he's on my radar. I like the price tag. Lonzo Ball, kind of the same thing. He's at 7K. He actually had a pretty good game last time out. Got him for about similar minutes, around 35 minutes. Elite game environment. Houston, they ranked, 22nd versus point guards, I believe. Yeah, 22nd versus point guards on the season. Lonzo's been at a little bit over a point per minute, 1.03 points per minute with a 19% usage rate, and he's got a really low PER. I just realized that. But yeah, Lonzo, he's fine. He's going to do a little bit of everything in the stat sheet. Not the best scorer in the world, but he's going to get the rebounds, the assists, steals, blocks, a little bit of points mixed in, you name it. And just want exposure to this game, so you can certainly look Lonzo's way. Eric Bledsoe, he'd probably be one of the best plays on the entire slate if Giannis happens to be out. He comes in at 6,700, and last time Giannis was out, him and Chris Middleton went absolutely bonkers. Bledsoe with Giannis at the court, he's at 1.49 points per minute, and that is up from 1.18 points per minute, so that's a pretty drastic boost. And his usage rate goes from 24% to 33.5%. So 1.49 points per minute, that would be the best or second best behind James Harden on the entire slate. Then Chris Middleton comes in at 1.47. So they'd be one of the best plays in the slate. He'd play over 30 minutes, 28.5 minutes right now with Giannis playing. So taking Giannis off the court, Eric Bledsoe would grade out as one of the best options on the slate. It's also a good matchup versus Phoenix. They rank 21st versus point guards, 23rd versus shooting guards, so they struggle versus guards. Going to be a fast-paced game, 233 total. Certainly have interest in Eric Bledsoe. Ricky Rubio is a little bit iffy putting him on here, but he did grade out as a decent point per dollar option just because he's so cheap at 5,600. Now, he has been playing terrible. He's been stuck in like a 20 fantasy point rut for a while now. But 5,600 is just so cheap, and if Giannis is off the court, this game should stay a little bit closer. And versus Milwaukee, it's a pace-up spot. I could see it working out. Now, on the season, they rank 14th versus point guard, so it's actually not terrible. It's just he's been playing so bad. He's taking a backseat to Devin Booker for sure. He's going to do a little bit of everything in the stat sheet, so he's got triple-double upside. Now, he's just not been playing well at all. But on the season, he's at 1.07 points per minute. Should get over 30 minutes, 20% usage rate. He's fine as a lineup filler. I'm not going to go out of my way to play Ricky Rubio, but 5,600 is a little bit cheap. Ersan Ilyasova, as you can see with Giannis playing, only got him for about 16 minutes, so we'd have to fade him. But if Giannis is out, he's 5K, and Ilyasova usually has a pretty good game with him being out the court. Now, the problem is he's usually in that 3K range, so DraftKings was a little bit smart here and at least priced them up with, Giannis being questionable, so they at least factored some of these prices in. But I honestly think they probably should have priced up Middleton and Bledsoe a little bit more because, Bledsoe is kind of an easy play at 6,700 if Giannis is out, and Middleton 7,800, that's not really much of a killer either. But they raised Ilyasova's price quite a bit, but if he's out, he should get close to 25 minutes, Giannis I'm talking about. And with Giannis off the court, he's at 1.06 points per minute with a 17% usage rate. Solid matchup versus Phoenix. They struggle with big men. You can certainly look his way. PJ Tucker. So Clint Capella being out, I could see them going small and running PJ Tucker at the 5 quite a bit. And not like we have to worry about minutes anyway with PJ Tucker. I got him for over 35 right now. But the problem is the guy just sucks. I mean, on a point per minute basis, he is absolute trash. He's at 0.64 points per minute, which is one of the worst in the NBA of relevant players. And only an 8% usage rate, which again is one of the lowest in the NBA of relevant players, especially someone that plays 35 minutes per game. That's like Gary Harris territory. But even Gary Harris has a better than 8% usage rate. PJ Tucker pretty much stands in the corner, and you got to hope he hits a couple corner threes, and you got to hope he just has one of those random good rebounding games. I know the one time I faded him, because I'm like, it's PJ Tucker. If he's going to be chalk, I could get away with fading him. No, he had like 19 rebounds that game because that's just how it goes sometimes. But Tucker, he's fine. Elite game environment. I mean, there's nothing not to like about this game. He's cheap, 4,400. Clint Capella's being out. Should get more run at the 5. Go small. I don't mind it. So PJ Tucker's fine. Daniel House, same thing. He's just kind of a lineup filler. Like these Houston, when there's not a lot of obvious value plays on the slate, I tend to just pick pieces of, lineup fillers from the best team on the slate, which is the Rockets. So guys like Daniel House and PJ Tucker, they fit your lineup. I mean, they got a chance to get over 20 fantasy points considering the game environment here. 246 total. I think they can just trip and fall their way into 20 fantasy points. And House has got an upside. And he has these random good games every once in a while. He can, outside shooting. He's fine. Got him for over 30 minutes here. Now in the season, he's only at 0.69 points per minute, which is not that great. 13.4% usage rate. But the game environment's there. Going to be a lot of shots put up, I should say. So Daniel House is fine at 4,100. Mikal Bridges, he comes in at 4K. He's going to play over 30 minutes. He's had a couple of good games recently. Now, he's only at 0.75 points per minute, but I like the minutes increase he's got. He got him for 33 minutes. He's only averaging 25 minutes per game, so I do like that he's over that threshold quite a bit. Now he's not a high usage player, only a 12% usage rate. Obviously, you're going to have a low usage rate when you got guys like Ayton, Rubio, and Booker on the court at the same time. But he's fine. He's cheap. It's 4K. If Giannis is out the court, softens up the defense quite a bit. You can look their way. It's a pace-up spot, so he's fine. Dante DiVincenzo at 4K. I mean, this price is just amazing. If Giannis is out, he'd probably, the minutes probably won't change too much. You'd probably see anywhere from like 25, 27 minutes. But at 4K, that's pretty darn good, especially for a guy with Giannis off the court that's got a 20% usage rate and 1.09 points per minute. I mean, at 4K, that's just way too cheap. And Phoenix struggles versus guards. We know that. It's going to be a high-paced game. Dante DiVincenzo would certainly be on my radar. Brook Lopez, I like him even if Giannis plays. He's 3,900. I don't know what the DK pricing algorithm did, but they messed up here because he's usually in that mid 4K range and the occasional 5K. He's all the way down to 3,900, and even if Giannis plays, I still got him for 26 minutes. And on the season, he's at 0.95 points per minute. That's fine. And if you take Giannis off the court, he's probably going to play close to 30 minutes, and he is at 21.3% usage rate, 1.03 points per minute. He'd pretty much be the best value play in the entire slate. 3,900 is just way too cheap, and we know Phoenix does struggle with big men, so we can certainly look Brook Lopez's way. He's just mispriced. 3,900 is kind of a joke price for Brook Lopez, so we certainly look his way. And then I wish I would have just stopped there, but I threw in two random duds at the end because we didn't have a lot of guys to talk about. So Luke Cornett, 3,700. It's whatever. I got him for about 25 minutes here on the season, 0.82 points per minute. He's had a couple of decent games recently. I know he had a dud game mixed in, but he's fine. I'm not too excited about it, but if you need someone at 3,700, it's whatever. And then Austin Rivers, with Clint Capella being out, there's just a little bit more minutes to go around. I got him for close to 30 minutes here, which might seem aggressive, but he's fine. Now, he's only at 0.69 points per minute. He's had at least 20 fantasy points. Not at least 20, but he's been close to 20 fantasy points for a decent stretch now. 3,600, elite game environment. New Orleans is the worst team in the league versus point guards. He's fine. He's a low usage rate player, low point per minute rate guy, but again, can't get too picky on a 3-game slate. That's pretty much everyone we're going to talk about. I do want to talk about overlaydfs.com really quick, so I'll see you guys there in a second. Alright guys, if you've been watching my videos for a while now, you already know what this is, but if you haven't, this is overlaydfs.com, sponsor of the show. They've been kind enough to reach out to me, and I really do enjoy their website. I would not recommend this to you guys if I didn't play it myself. That's just not the kind of person I am, but I do enjoy this website very much, so I am sharing it with you guys. It's called overlaydfs.com, and it's a very simple, more casual environment DFS website. There's no salary cap restrictions. You don't have to compete against guys like Chipotle, so there's no sharks. It's just a very casual, kind of laid-back kind of DFS website. It's just a pick'em based. It's like pick'em based scoring. So if you thought, like to the right here, this is just an example of a few nights ago. This is when the Bucks went nuts versus Washington. They scored 151 points. If you thought Chris Middleton was going to outscore Eric Bledsoe, you picked Chris Middleton. If you thought Bradley Beal was going to outscore Kemba Walker, you pick Bradley Beal. It's as simple as it sounds, and if they score more points, you win that matchup. And if you happen to finish top 10% in the contest, you win 9 extra money. So, for example, this is the $22 Double Deuce contest. I did happen to place in this contest, and I won $180. It's as simple as that. And if you happen to go 12-0 on your picks, I've been close a couple times, but their progressive has been rising. I believe since they reached out to me and I checked out their website, I believe they're in the high 4K range for the jackpot. We're all the way up to over $8,300 now. So if you go 12-0 on your picks, you can take home over $8,300. I assume that's probably going to be close to $8,500 tomorrow. So someone's going to win it eventually, so why not you? Check it out, overlaydfs.com. They're also running a slump buster challenge where if you happen to lose 20 days in a row, and I'm not talking about consecutive days, so say you play once a day for 20 weeks in a row, if you happen to lose every single one of those times, they will refund every single dollar that you deposited. So they're basically daring you guys to lose 20 days in a row. So check it out, guys. They got good people over there, and it's a legit website. They pay you out quick. I'm talking like I withdrawed like from a nightly winnings. I withdrawed like 1:30 in the morning. The money is not just in my bank, not in my account balance by 3 a.m. It was in my bank account. Like it went to PayPal. I withdrawed it, debit card, whatever. And it's in my bank account by 3 a.m., so they pay you out quick. So if you're looking for something more to spice up your DFS life, so just an additional to you playing Draftkings every night, so you want to play something else as well, check out overlaydfs.com. You can use my projections to help your picks. I've had a lot of success over on overlaydfs.com. Just use my projections. So check it out. And I would put the link in the description below, but I don't want to get banned on YouTube because that's how some other content creators were getting banned on YouTube for like a week earlier in the year. Don't want to risk that, so check it out. It's simple. It's just as it sounds. OverlayDFS.com. Check it out. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Hope it was helpful. If it was, remember to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. You also follow me on Twitter at Pennell16. I'm excited to watch the Super Bowl. I'm sure you guys are as well. So I'm not really sure how many views this is going to get. I'm sure everyone's going to watch the Super Bowl anyway. But yeah, wish you guys the best of luck. Enjoy your Sunday. And don't forget NASCAR content is coming out soon. That's next weekend. And then so sign up for Patreon if you want. And see you guys in the next video.